The only way 2025 is going to be different from 2024 is if you start making the changes in 2024. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance. And regardless of when you see this, whether it's still 2024 or it's currently 2025 or years in the future, you have to realize that until you make the necessary changes, until you learn to commit to yourself, until you decide that you want better, your life is going to continue to be the same. Your mindset is going to stay the same, your emotions, your finances, psychologically, spiritually, and mentally. So, these are some recommendations to keep in mind as you're going into the new year or whenever you see this. The first thing you have to realize is that you have to be very intentional about what it is that you want. So, if you have a goal, you actually have to make time for it. A lot of people are going to tell you to be consistent, but I'm going to take it a step further and tell you that you have to be committed. I've recently made a 30-day challenge playlist about being consistent and being successful. Being consistent takes time, it's a skill, and it's an investment. So it could take years, it could take days, it could take months. You have to learn how to be practical about what it is that you want so you're able to realize what's tangible, what's in your control, and what's not. The best way for you to do this is to get a notebook, to get a planner. You can use your iPad, you can use your iPhone, or you can get a notebook and pen and paper and write it down. The reason why it's so important to physically write it down is because you can verbally talk about it, you can verbally express how you feel, but if you're not putting in any action, if you don't have any strategies, or if you're not detailed or specific about the steps and the resources that you need to make this into investment and make it a part of your reality, how is it going to happen? You have to realize we can have these ideas, we can even write them down, but the goal is to write it down so therefore you can hold yourself accountable, so therefore you can check it. The second thing as you're writing your goals down is to make a to-do list, is to figure out what can you do within 24 hours daily to work towards your goal, as well as what are the resources that you have. Your resources could be your finances, your education, your transportation, depending on what it is that you want. If you are serious about making your life different, what I've learned and what has helped me along my healing journey was to just be very specific and make sure that I'm doing everything that I can. And most importantly, you have to be patient. That's what nobody's going to tell you. Depending on what it is that you're trying to do, it's going to take time. So if you're trying to lose weight and you gain 300, 400 pounds and you're trying to lose 100, 200 pounds, it's not going to happen in 24 hours. You have to be okay with putting the time, energy, and effort into the things that you want. So if you haven't already, we broke down the steps. I basically just gave you guys a little bit of what is going to be talked about in that playlist. But basically being consistent, being successful is the time, energy, and effort that you pour into yourself. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. I'm not going to sell you $1,000 ebook. No shade to the people who are, but it's simple. Like, we just have to prioritize the things that we want. We have to be very intentional about it. We have to realize that it's going to be time consuming. And if you're doing something that you've never done before, you really can't have any expectations. So the next thing is to let go of any expectations. Like, yes, you may see other people doing the things that you want to do, but it's not going to be the same for you. Why? Because it's the first time you're doing it and because you're not them. So you see people go to the gym. You see people work out, whether they work out naturally or they get some type of procedure. It's still not going to have the same effect on you because your body is different. Everyone is different. This is why it's also important to not compare yourself and just sit with yourself. Like, regardless of what you want to be successful in, regardless of what you're trying to work towards, you just have to be vulnerable and like you have to be okay with starting. Like, I started this YouTube channel maybe like 6-7 months ago with 0 followers. Right now we're on the way to 200 followers, and this is currently right now when I'm making this. It takes time to gain a natural community, especially when you want something done a particular way. And that's what I've learned about myself. Like, I'm very particular, I'm very picky about certain things, and I'm allowed to be. But you have to realize if you're going to be particular, if you're going to be picky, it's a lot of details that contribute into what it is that you want. And another thing you have to keep in mind is if you have the assistance, if you have the resources, if you have the finances, if you are starting with nothing, Nathan, it is also going to take more time. And comparing yourself to people who have the resources, who have the technology, who have the finances, who have the transportation isn't going to change your situation. So it's just like, if you're serious about making 2025 different, just ask yourself where you are right now and just ask yourself what it is that you want to do. Like, you have to be present. You can't skip the process. Like, you have to accept what you've been through previously, so therefore you can move forward. And that's the most important thing, is letting go, so therefore you can make space. Until you let go of old beliefs, until you let go of old people, places, and things, until you let go of old realities or anything that's not contributing into what you want to be, you're going to continue to have this mindset in this battle that what you want is impossible, what you're working towards is going to take forever, or that is not for you. And that's not true. Like, we have desires for a reason. And of course, as you're trying to understand and process your desire in the moment, it may seem like chaotic, especially if you're unfamiliar, but that's just all it is. Like, when you're starting a YouTube channel, when you're starting to be a business owner, when you go back to school, when you're losing weight, when you're getting a car and you never had these things before, you don't know what it's going to take. And it's what you have to do in order for you to get the things that you want. And speaking from experience, being consistent, a lot of people think that it's just supposed to happen overnight, or it's supposed to happen within 3 to 4 months. Just because we have goals of doing things in a certain amount of time doesn't mean it's always going to work out like that. That's why I talked about letting go of expectations, being very intentional about what you want, and being practical about what you do have, so therefore you can make the necessary changes. You have to learn how to adapt, and just being patient. So I'm going to end off this video. This video is going to be a little bit shorter than others. If you have questions, comments, and concerns, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you're commenting down below and turn on your post notification and subscribe. You watch the video all the way to the end. Follow me on all my social media platforms at Ty_Guidance, TYI.guidance on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All the information will be down in the description box below. And if you want a service in a session, head to my website. Cut off, you guys, my alarm went off, but head to my website at tyguidance@somewhere.com if you're interested in a service in a session. You have to realize that wanting to be better is just the first part. Like, it's literally stages and phases, and there's no one size fit all. So always take what resonates, leave the rest. And when you guys follow me on my social media platforms, I will be going live on TikTok and Instagram to answer any common questions and concerns if you're not able to book a service in a session. And if you want me to talk about something that I haven't already, let me know in the comment section or on the community section here on YouTube, or on my story. I'll be posting polls, just seeing what you guys are wanting to discuss. But speaking from experience, I'm setting the intention that 2025 is going to be one of the best years of my life, as well as yours and everyone who chooses to support me. And just know that things take time, and honestly, what's meant to be will be. And what we're going to be talking about in the first month of January is just trusting the process, because it's just like, there are only 24 hours in a day. Even with the resources and the tools and the guidance, whether you have those things or you don't, it still is a journey. And it's just like letting go of the worry, letting go of how things are happening, and being passionate about the actual experience and what you had to do to become the person you want is going to get you to where you need to be. So it's just like, I know it seems challenging. I know you want your life to be different, but it's like, you have to take baby steps, especially if you're unfamiliar, especially if you're afraid, especially if you're not confident, especially if you are comparing yourself. You could feel like that in the beginning, but it's just like, you have to be committed. Like, you cannot be consistent if you're not committed. And I know everyone's going to tell you just to be consistent, just be consistent. You have to be committed. You have to 100% decide, is this what I'm willing to work towards? And a lot of times, this is why it's important, if you're new here, to watch the 30-day consistency challenge, because we talked about that. It's really imperative that you sit with yourself. So therefore, you know, like, are you willing to go to the gym? Are you willing to show up when you don't see the results in 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months? You know, so make sure you guys are following for more. And thanks for watching. Happy New Year, or whenever you see this, and stay tuned for further videos. Bye.